Hey everybody, this is Troy over at Uncomfortable Truths. Thanks for checking me out. So we have to talk about what's going on with the supposed ceasefire that Donald Trump negotiated because guys, we've literally already broken the ceasefire. It's happened multiple times, and by the way, we can thank our great allies over in Israel because they are the ones that are still continuing to bomb Lebanon. They refuse to stop. They're completely out of control. And they are the ones who are dragging us into this completely unnecessary and pointless war that will not benefit America and is wreaking havoc on the entire globe. All of this is avoidable, and it is completely our fault for letting Israel lead us around by the nose because there's no reason for us to be doing Israel's bidding. So let's get right into it and talk about what exactly is going on. We're going to take a look at this drop site news article. Now, I do recommend that everybody read the article themselves. I'm going to go ahead and drop it in the description. Also, if you can't afford it, I know times are tough, but go ahead and try to give them a couple bucks because they're doing fantastic journalism. All right, so here's that drop site article, and it's a massive Israeli assault on Lebanon threatens U.S.-Iran ceasefire. And remember, guys, this isn't a real ceasefire because we broke it almost immediately. And in fact, we have seen an increase in bombing from Israel. Is what they've really done is they just moved their campaign more into Lebanon because Israel wants to take over the entire area, and they are using Trump as their puppet to actually do that. So the death hasn't stopped, the bombing hasn't stopped, and we are still completely involved in this unnecessary war that doesn't benefit us whatsoever. The only reason we're in this is because Donald Trump doesn't want to release the Epstein files, and instead he wants to protect the Epstein class and all of his warmongering buddies. He's just another neocon. Now, over 250 people were killed in what the Israeli military said was the largest coordinated strike on Lebanon since March 2nd. Guys, they're literally bragging about it. There was a ceasefire that Donald Trump is going around telling Americans that he planned, and maybe we can actually work together with Iran. And Israel is doing everything they can to undermine this. They are bragging that this is the largest strike that they've done in a week. They're going out of their way to say that, no, we are not violating, or we are not going to stay in line with this peace deal. We are not going to stay in line with the ceasefire. We will not tolerate any of this. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that America is dragged back into this war. And that's what they're doing, guys. And we shouldn't be tolerating it because we should be putting America first, the same way that Donald Trump said he was going to do in his campaigns. But instead, he decided that he was going to go and put Israel first. That's what we're seeing, and this war is a continuation of that. All right, so these strikes were part of an Israeli bombing campaign across Lebanon on Wednesday, and this came just hours after the U.S. and Iran agreement on the ceasefire. Now, let me ask you something. If your top ally goes and bombs a country that you just had a ceasefire agreement with a few hours before, are they really that good of an ally? You know the answer is no. They are not an ally. Israel is not an ally to anybody that wants peace. They are a warmongering nation that simply wants to get land and doesn't care how many civilians they have to kill in order for that to happen. They do not care, guys, and we cannot be allied with people like this because they give us nothing. They go against the United States' interests, and now they're literally breaking deals that the United States is trying to get in. That isn't something a good ally does. This Israeli assault came without warning and was by far the heaviest single wave of attacks on Lebanon over the past 5 weeks. In Beirut, the speed and scale of the bombardment stunned the population that has experienced successive wars, all of which Israel was the aggressor of, by the way, but rarely like this. Strikes landing almost simultaneously in broad daylight while the streets were crowded. Thick black smoke billowed across the city as the sound of ambulances echoed through the streets. Authorities urged residents to remain indoors to allow emergency responders to move through the traffic-clogged roads. Dahlia said that the shock has yet to settle. It's surreal, she said. Did this really happen? Was it really this close to home? I really don't think I've processed it yet. And probably not, because this person was worried that their daughter had just been bombed across the street. And that person, of course, was terrified they were going to lose their child in that attack because Israel has killed a number of children in these attacks. Hours after its initial spate of airstrikes, the Israeli military bombed a 9-story residential building in Beirut. Now, keep in mind, guys, the level of outrage that there is when anything happens in Israel, such as a person is attacked or even an IDF soldier is attacked, or God forbid that something happens and a civilian is attacked. And it is justifiable outrage. But most of the time, the aggressor is Israel. But when Israel attacks somebody, there is nothing from our news media. It's almost silent, and you have to go to these independent outlets to even find out what happened. So they trapped residents under rubble. Outside of Beirut, at least 10 people were killed during a funeral because they're also bombing funerals in Lebanon. 3 girls were killed in Adlun, a coastal area in the south, and a family of 4 was killed in the northeastern village of Mansoura. 4 people were killed in a strike on the southeastern town of Majidel. So now what we have is Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu say that the temporary ceasefire with Iran, and notice, he says temporary ceasefire because he does not want the ceasefire. Netanyahu wants to make sure that we are locked into this war because what he sees with Trump is somebody who is super easy to manipulate, somebody that he almost certainly has dirt on. So this is his chance to make sure that he can grab as much land as possible and get all of the wars done that he wants to see happen before Trump leaves office. That's what Netanyahu is seeing. And honestly, he's doing a pretty good job with it. So when he's saying that the ceasefire isn't going to include Lebanon, that's because he is going to make sure that the ceasefire with Iran is broken and that he's going to go into as many countries as he can get into because Trump is too spineless to stand up to Netanyahu. And we've seen this time and time again. It's a daily occurrence at this point. So Netanyahu's saying that we are continuing to strike it with force. The Israeli military bragged about what it said was the largest coordinated strike on Lebanon since the start of the Operation Roaring Lion on March 2nd, with targets struck in Beirut, Bekaa Valley, and southern Lebanon. It published multiple posts online, including a graphic depicting the locations of the bombings across the country, photos of the aircraft that allegedly took part in the attacks, and photos of the Army Chief of Staff, alongside senior military officials, supposedly in an operations room at the time of the strikes. We will not compromise the security of the residents of northern Israel. We will continue to strike with determination. Look, they are not under threat. The idea that Israel was threatened by these countries is absolutely ridiculous. Israel is bringing all of this on themselves, and the attacks that Israel sustains are retaliation for their unprovoked warmongering. Well, this is where we're at now. We're funding a rogue state, abandoning our allies that aren't going along with our insanity, and literally fighting wars on behalf of Israel. They're going to put the whole area in chaos. We have upturned the entire economic well-being of the world, and we are putting ourselves on the bottom shelf, and we are making sure that everyone is going to hate America for decades. And we're doing this for nothing. We're doing this on behalf of a country that is just going to continue warmongering for themselves. As far as I'm concerned, I say we let them do any of the warmongering they want, and we stay out of it, because there's no reason for us to be taking these horrific and immoral actions. And if we were going to do anything to actually improve the area, we should get Israel under control, because Israel is the problem, and there's no two ways about it, guys. And the uncomfortable truth is that our president is an absolute puppet to Israel, and he is going to continue doing this unless we say collectively, we're not putting up with this, we're not going to support the war, it's time for you to pull out. And that's what we've got today, guys. Go ahead, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe, and share the uncomfortable truths. Take care, everybody.